I don't think the casual media and the average sports fan realizes how many educated fighters there are.
Yeah, well, maybe they don't, because I don't either. Is that right? Are there a few that have read a book in this business? I didn't know that.
There are a lot of I mean, all joking aside, number one, obviously Randy Couture. I mean, you're buddies with him,
sure.
and I'm sure he's an idol. Educated dude, carries himself the right way. You can go down to the younger end with like a Phil Davis who's out of Penn State, NCAA champ. I'll give you the best example, and he got an award today. Brian Stan is like off the charts character-wise.
Oh, outstanding human being. Yeah, hope he runs for office someday.
He might. You mentioned that. We'll get to the breakdown of the fight here in a second. You are an aspiring politician. Why?
Well, because I care. Really, for no other reason than I care. I want to be involved. I want to help set a foundation for the future, really. But more than anything, just because I care, I want to have a hand and help out with what's going on.
What do you think is going on?
Well, what are we talking about? Are we talking federal or on the state level?
Oh.
I'm from Oregon, so
in the state, like what concerns you in Oregon?
Sure. Well, you got to understand, Oregon has the second highest unemployment rate in the entire country. And figuring out business isn't a hard thing to do. If you studied economics for 15 minutes, you spent 14 minutes too many. It's supply and demand. If you want Oregon, or any state, but I'll talk, or if we want Oregon to be the best state in the nation for business, we've got to make it the best state to do business in the nation. And it's not. It's horrible. The tax structures are awful. It's driving business right out of the state. It goes from our western side, it goes over across the border there. We lose them right here in Portland. They run over 7 miles to get to Washington State. They just got to go across the bridge. They save 14% right away. That's just taxes. So right now, jobs in the economy are a really big deal, especially in Portland. It's, like I said, we're number 2 unemployment rate in all of America.
What are the big industries in Oregon?
Well, timber's a big industry, but again, it's hard to do your job. There's a lot of restrictions there, but timber's a big industry and shipping's a big industry, and we've got major shipping lines, both boating and the big rigs heading up and down the road. Freightliners just closed up shop, took it 7 miles away, opened up in Washington State.
So in a lot of ways, is there not enough diversity from a business standpoint in Oregon? Because something we got into yesterday, Obama a couple of times now, about a year ago, he made a statement that irked a lot of people, and he mentioned that basically people shouldn't come here for conventions, and immediately there was an impact. A lot of businesses canceled conventions, and that kills Las Vegas. A couple of days ago, he was in New Hampshire, and he made a statement about being responsible. Families shouldn't go and blow all their money in Las Vegas. We understand what he was saying, that you shouldn't gamble and be a jackass, but when you mention Vegas, we feel like we're being singled out. And one of the things we got into was that we really are kind of a one-trick pony town, and if people don't want to gamble, we're screwed. Is Oregon like that, where you either fix those industries or you guys could be screwed?
No, certainly not. Oregon's very diverse. We've got Intel, Nextel, Google is setting up shop. We used to have Boeing did business there. The world headquarters of Nike, one of the biggest companies on the planet, is all based in Oregon. So no, Oregon's very diverse. It's the small business that struggles when the state needs money. Look, if you or I need money, we got to do one of two things. We have to provide a good or we have to provide a service. The state doesn't have to do that. If the state needs money, all they have to do is ask for it. So the state comes in, they attempt to tax businesses. Well, you can't do that. You cannot tax the rich. And there's this big economic, social, what am I trying to say? There's warfare, economic warfare, class warfare. Thank you. That's the term I'm looking for. And when you go after the rich, they just pass it on down to the poor. So you can't do class warfare on taxation, and it's very popular in Oregon. In fact, more laws just passed, and the very day they passed, Winco, a big, huge chain, sent out a press release the very next morning and fired 18 people from each location that they had, and they cited that tax as a reason. If people don't understand that, they're going to continue to vote for taxes. If the leaders don't come forward and say, hey, time out, we've got to create a positive environment for business. That's all you do. If you're in government, federal or state, you do not create business. You create an environment so people like you and I can come in and create business.
That's CHAEL Sonnen, UFC fighter. He is a politician. He's going to be running for office. Dave, I want you to chime in on this. It's Steve and Dave. On this next topic, which is where politics is right now, because we talk about it all the time, and it extends to sports, because people are so on one side or the other because they have to follow a certain path that nothing is getting done. Dave, your take?
Well, my point, particularly in Washington, is that it's completely broken, because the Democrats will do nothing that the Republicans support, and the Republicans will do nothing the Democrats support, and there's no dialogue, and they are accomplishing zero, which is why we don't have any health care reform, and the job bill, which is very important, will probably die the same death.
Sure. Yeah, the Republicans are doing a very poor job in Washington. I am a Republican. They're doing a very poor job because they're coming to the table with complaint after complaint, but no suggestions on how to fix it. The president has flat out said, I didn't vote for him, but he makes a very fair point when he says flat out, if you have a better idea, I'm willing to hear it. And not a single Republican has come forward with an idea. They just come forward with complaints.
Sounds familiar, though, because that's exactly what was going on in the past.
Sure. No,
it's the same exact thing. It's all negative, and to me, the only thing, I don't want to generalize. There seems to be more importance put on self-preservation and making sure that you keep your job than actually making change and taking some risk and maybe annoying people.
Yeah, no, well, that's really what it is. I mean, look, when a politician comes out and takes a stand, and that's why we elect them. We elect them to have courage. We elect them because we're looking for a leader that's going to come forward with conviction. But when they come forward and do that, as soon as they put those views out there, as soon as they get big and strong on an idea, people turn on them. Mm-hmm. And so many politicians have caught on to this, and they've realized, look, if I don't do anything, if I go play golf out here and I have coffee with the boys now and then, when I go back home and my name stays out of the paper, every 6 years they're going to send me back to the Senate. Every 4 years they're going to send me back to the House. They've realized that, and therefore they're just not doing anything, and it's a big problem. But the problem isn't just with them. The problem starts with the people that give them the power. If people aren't educated, if they don't care, if they don't pay attention, and they just check that ballot box, look, we get what we put out there.
On the athlete side, we were talking before you came on. About a good hour and 20 minutes. We talked about Tim Tebow today. I don't think Tebow did anything wrong with saying that he's got faith and he carries himself a certain way. He got very hyped up, and I think for good reason. Maybe overhyped in some ways, but a great football player. And yet, there seems to be this backlash from fans. And now he's I actually admire him because he's rolling the dice. He's actually part of a pro-life ad during the Super Bowl. So, how do you mesh being an athlete and, making money and taking those risks? And, I guess you're rolling the dice on being hated potentially. Sure.
Well, again, it's similar to what we said about politicians. If you sit back and do nothing, you can stay in good favor. You don't offend anybody. At the same time, when your legacy's written, you didn't do anything. It's the same thing in sports. If you come out and you take a stand on something, you're going to not just run the risk, you are going to upset some people. That's the way it goes, and that's the way it should be. We shouldn't all agree on everything. If we all agree on everything, we don't have dialogue. So anytime somebody takes a stance on any issue, we need to hear from the other side to make sure that we're seeing all sides. But